Hello guys, as you would have seen in the title, in this video I am going to talk about my journey during my A-level examination. So why am I talking about this? That time period in my A-level examination was one of the toughest times in my life. So I feel like all the people who are doing A-levels right now will also relate to my experience. So to have somebody to relate to is the main reason I'm doing this video, to motivate you all. Okay, so I actually did my A levels in 2021. So I'm a 2021 A level batch student. However, due to Corona and everything, our exam shifted to February 2022. So I went to St. Thomas's College, Mount Lavinia. But the funny thing is, I actually went to that school to play cricket, not for studies. Right? I was a pretty good cricket player, if I say so myself. So I was actually playing cricket. The main reason I went to St. Thomas's was to play cricket. Then around March 2020, right, I was watching the big match. During that time I didn't play. I was a spectator. I was hoping to play maybe the next few years, but life has its ways. So during that time period only, somebody ate a bat. Hey, somebody ate a bat in China and the world got corona. So around that time they asked everybody to quarantine. So to go back home and stay behind locked doors for an approximate duration. They gave an approximate duration back then, around 2 weeks. As you all know, that 2 weeks almost took 2 years for everything to come back to normal. After that started our time behind doors, locked away from all other aspects of humanity. All we could see was the faces of our siblings and parents. So during that time, we did not have any school, we did not have any classes, and in my case, the biggest thing I was worried about was the fact that we were not going to have any practices. So it took maybe, I think, around 1 month before people started getting adapted to that new lifestyle. And from schools they started having online classes, and my cricket team, they started having online classes too of their own, which was, now all of us got together on this Zoom call and we had to switch on our videos and start doing exercises, and we had to take videos of our exercises and send it to the fitness coach and all of that. I was pretty enthusiastic about that, even though if I don't seem like the epitome of fitness now, I was very, very interested in fitness back then. So I was doing that work. I was exercising, I was skipping, I was running all inside the house. I was lifting weights. I had a 2 kilo dumbbell. So with that, I was lifting weights. We also had school classes, by the way. So these school classes done by our class teachers only. Zoom meeting with that 40-minute time limit. They will teach for around 30 minutes, 35 minutes, ask everybody to leave and come back. So I also joined with my device. So obviously, as a teacher now, I understand the struggles they must have gone through to teach students online. So when they are teaching, they would ask the students to switch on the mic and answer, switch on the videos. So I would pretend to be, like I'm buffering, so that she would think that there's something wrong with my mic, or I would say the camera is not working, or the internet connection is bad. So I would just keep the laptop aside or the phone aside and I would sleep on the bed. So that was how my online classes went during that time. So however, we had these assessments throughout that period, online assessments. So in that I was getting around 30s, 40s maximum. That also by referring the book only, 30s, 40s. I didn't care much about my education. It was mainly focused on cricket. So that was how my first few months in quarantine went. So this went on till around late 2020, I think around November, December, right? So up until that point, I was taking care of my fitness. I was doing these drills that you're supposed to do when you're playing cricket. There are certain drills that you're supposed to do. So I was doing all those drills, and I was watching a lot of anime. Like literally nobody would have watched more than me during that time. From morning, so when I woke up, I just did the usual business and then exercised. As soon as I finished exercising, had a wash, got on the bed, continued to bed rot, watch as much as episodes as I can for that day, sleep, repeat. So this was how my life was going during that time. I did join a few classes though, because my parents were bothering me with it, so I just joined the classes. During the class I was just looking at the lecturer's face, and then eventually after that was done, again watch. Sometimes I don't know whether my parents will watch this video. Sometimes I used to watch anime while I was in online class also. So all of these are quite disrespectful to the teacher, because I would also feel disrespected if my students did this to me. However, people change, right? So then, once I was continuing to watch anime and exercising, by late December or early December, if I'm not mistaken, they started having practices again. So small groups, they divided the entire squad into small groups, so to prevent the spread, small groups, and started practicing. However, I had a small knee issue in my knee at that time. Plus, my parents were very scared, especially my mother. She was very scared of corona, so she did not allow me to go for these practices. So she said, there's corona, you can't go and play cricket now. You're worried about the wrong bat. She didn't say that, I'm saying that, right? So then I was very, very angry. I was rebellious. For like a few weeks, I was not going to study or anything, just out of spite. But eventually, you can't go against your parents. They did say, there is some fairness to their side right now if you think about it. So it's corona now, so why don't you first study, get through these A levels, and then once you finish A levels, you can play cricket. They were pretty reasonable, but children, they don't understand, right? So then I was rebellious, but then eventually I was like, okay, what's going to be that difficult in A levels? Might as well start and get this over with. So then I started studying for A levels. So now it's late December 2020 or early January in 2021. So now I have to start studying, no? Because if I'm the 2021 A level bed student, and now it's 2021, so that means I'm in trouble. If I don't start now, I'm going to fail. So then might as well start. So out of all the three subjects that you have, biology, physics, and chemistry, the least intimidating subject is biology when you're just about to start studying. Later on, during the latter part only, biology is very difficult, but in the initial moments, biology is the easiest. So just like how anybody would do it, I open the first few pages. First unit anyway, we ignore them. The first few pages, the first part of unit 2 is what? Water. So I opened water, I studied water properly, and then once I finished water, I felt like I have done enough. Then I take the physics and chemistry. I don't understand anything. This is like Greek to me. I feel like these words are familiar because I went to some classes, no, but I don't know anything. Then what I did, I was like, okay, let's try this tomorrow. Then tomorrow again, I get this random burst of motivation to open and start studying biology. Again, I studied water. So this repeated for maybe a week, and eventually water was like Thanni Madri for me. So I knew everything about water. But physics and biology, unfortunately, I did not know what to do. However, I did have an elder brother who at that time was studying in the Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo. So he did pretty well in his A-levels. So now he's working as a intern doctor in NHSL. So anyways, so just like how any younger brother would do, I went and asked him help. And just like any older brother, he used that to get me into trouble. These pranks that elder brothers play on younger siblings, just like how I play the same pranks to my younger siblings. Anyway, so what did he do? Now only you are studying this. Why have you been wasting your time? Why are we paying for your classes? So and so everything. So I get scolded from my parents, blah blah blah, but it's okay. So his technique of teaching, or his technique of making me learn, was quite different. So I'm not sure whether you all have heard of this saying, give a man a fish, he will eat for one day. Teach a man how to fish, and he will eat for a lifetime. So he was following that principle. So he taught me how to fish. That means, in this case, he taught me how to learn what are the things you need to do in A levels to make sure that you get 3 A's. So he told me about this active recall and spaced repetition, which I am preaching to my students. And he also told me about past papers. So he gave me this person on YouTube called Ali Abdaal. So he had all the science behind active recall and spaced repetition and why that works. So to this day, I still use the same learning techniques for my education also. So he told to watch these videos and use the past papers. So what I did, I went through and watched all videos Ali Abdaal had on how to learn, and then I bought the past papers book and I started going through the past papers. So in these past papers, what I noticed was that the concepts were repeating. So the same type of questions are coming again and again and again, but with different values. So what I did was I started with chemistry because my elder brother could remember chemistry. He was very good in chemistry. So I started with chemistry. So I started with the first 3 units. So the first 3 units was quite similar to what we had in O levels. So it wasn't very difficult. So I did the past papers and I used Google for the things that I wasn't very sure of. And even after I used Google, if I didn't understand it, I went and asked my elder brother. So I did this for the first 3 units, tried all the past paper questions possible. I didn't go to any teacher at that point, I just got his help. So I went through all the questions that are there for these first 3 units and tried to learn. So what happened at that point was slowly I was starting to get questions right. Then my interest in chemistry started to increase. So then I kept on doing chemistry. So then after I completed the first 3 units, I started going to an individual teacher. And we were discussing a lot of questions, and he gives me some questions to do homework. In addition to those homework questions, I did so many other questions along with that theory. So when I started getting questions right, my interest in chemistry increased. So then I kept on doing chemistry and I started to slowly forget about biology and physics. However, at that time I was still going to a physics teacher, right? And then now I'm getting a bit more serious in my studies now. So then I was trying to pay attention to his teaching. So at that point I think we were doing lights and waves and oscillations. So when I started paying attention to his teaching, I actually understood the concept. I understood the theory. It was so interesting and it was nice to understand. And I feel like I know these things. So then he gives some example questions during the class itself, and I was able to get them right only on the theory that he taught. So then, okay, physics also I got a bit of a confidence. Okay, if I just go to this teacher and if he teaches me these things and if I try questions, I should be able to do it. So then whenever he did a class, all the questions relevant to that topic I started doing from the past papers. Then chemistry okay, physics okay. So I feel like I have a roadmap to what I have to do for chemistry and physics. And chemistry and physics is not like biology, it is solving sums. So you can keep on doing this. So that's what I did. I kept on doing chemistry and physics, and I started to ignore biology. That's when my elder brother did something perfect during that time. What he did was, now he knows slowly my physics and chemistry is increasing. But whenever we sit down to have lunch or dinner, he says, Hasan, bring your resource book, the biology resource book. So then I go and give the biology resource book. He started asking questions. I don't know because I haven't studied. Only if he asked from what I would be able to answer. So when he started asking questions, I'm like, I don't know. Then my parents got angry because they are sending me for an individual chemistry class. They are sending me for a physics group class. So they are spending money on me. I didn't go to a biology class then. So they are spending money on me and I'm not getting any benefit out of it. So I feel like I'm wasting money. So then I got scolded for that also. But then that helped me. Now to prevent from getting scolded or to prevent from getting, saying that I'm wasting money, that guilt feeling is there, no, I started to study biology. Like what I did was, I started to take each unit, break it down into essays and start memorizing the essays. Just like how I mentioned in that video, mind map video, I will put over here so you can check it. So just like how I mentioned in that video, I started revising it with spaced repetition, all of that. So I did this for unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, and I was continuing with biology also. However, he still continued to, ask me to bring the resource book whenever we are having lunch and dinner. So the thing what he did was, so now when he asks a question, somebody when you ask a question, that that fellow knows the answer or not just by looking at the face. So when he asks the question and I'm like, okay, time to answer, then he doesn't ask that question. It's like he'll go to another question and he will find a question which I can't answer. So then all those points I was able to identify gaps in my knowledge. So then I reinforced that learning. So that's how I did biology in the initial stages. So eventually I studied close to 10 hours a day on average. So throughout now, because I have found a method for physics, I found a method for chemistry, I found a method for biology. So I just need to trust myself and do this specific framework for the next few months all the way until the A-level exam. So I studied close to 10 hours a day on average. So I studied, I made mistakes, then I corrected those mistakes, then I made more mistakes, then I corrected those mistakes, and the cycle repeated. So then I continued this until 2021 April. So that's the time when Ramadan started. So now, as Ramadan started, I had to fast. So you had to fast for 30 days. So without food, without water, and studying. That was quite difficult. So by this time, I have ignored my fitness and I was only focused on learning. So then I put a little bit of weight. So maybe I looked like this at that time. So then I can't go without eating for a few hours. So then I was at a low point in my energy. So I did not study that entire 30 days. So from April to May, I did not study at all. Okay, so I had these revision timetables. At these times I need to revise this, at this time I need to revise this. I didn't do anything. However, I did do something, which was watch a lot of anime. So there was this really good series. I know most of you all know Attack on Titan. So I watched the first 3 seasons. I think at that time the 4th season was not there. And then there was another one called Clannad. So these 2 series I was watching fully. I completed it in that 30 days. You're not supposed to do that. But yes, I did it. And I did not study. I did not take the full use of that month. And I watched a lot of anime. So that was the thing that I did in those 30 days. So obviously at the end of those 30 days, I felt very, very guilty, right? I haven't studied for 30 days. My revision timetable is messed up. Now I'm again starting from the bottom. I mean, not everything I would have forgotten, but at least majority of it I might have forgotten, especially in biology. So I felt like I need to bring myself up again. So then again, I felt very guilty. So I tried to use my guilt to push me forward to learn more. So that was what I did after that Ramadan time. Looking back at it now, I feel like I was actually burnt out, So all of this time, it was still during, Corona. So you can't go out for classes or anything like that. It was just online. So maybe being in that social isolation and not meeting friends, maybe it burnt me out. I know it might just be a normal excuse, but that is why people who are doing A levels need to have hobbies to prevent you from burning out, to have some sort of peace of mind. Okay, so then anyways, after that time period, I started studying again. The guilt pushed me forward, like I mentioned before. But you can't start again back to how you were before, no? So slowly, I increased my hours from 3 hours to 4 hours to 5 hours to 6 hours to eventually my usual 10 hours. So that is how I started after this time period where I didn't do anything. Okay, so at that point again, past papers, and for the bio, memorization, spaced repetition, doing questions, spaced repetition. So that is the exact thing that I followed all the way until December. So at this point, I have done the past papers so many times such that when I see a question, I know what is the correct answer. Like, I don't even have to do the question. Just from memory alone, I know what is the correct answer. Not because I solved it in the head. Just from memory alone, I know what's the correct answer. Same past papers I did again and again. So this was, like I said, December 2021. So I felt a bit ready for the exam. But due to the corona time, they slowly delayed the exam. And they said, okay, now the exam is in February 2022. So February 2022 means I have to put the same hard work for another 2 months now. So obviously at that point, any person is fed up. But if you give up in those last 2 months, all the effort that you have put previously is a waste. So that's what I told myself, and I forced myself to work in that last 2 months also. And then by the end of January, I haven't done any of the 2020 A-level papers at that time. So I did 2021, no? So I haven't done any 2020 A-level paper at that time. I wanted to keep those 2020 A-level paper like a mock paper, like a mock A-level exam. Now you can do any term test papers as a mock A-level exam, but the term test papers are usually harder than the A-level papers. No, it's not like the similar standard. So I did this 2020 A-level paper exam and I marked it myself. And I got around 75 for all 3 subjects. So at that moment, I was like, okay, I'm done. So the final exam that's going to happen on February also, I need to go with this same mindset and I can get 3 A's. So then I was a bit confident. But I was also anxious. So I used the methods. I made a video about how to overcome anxiety for A-level exam. I will again maybe put that here, you can check it out, right? So I just told myself the same advices that I gave in that video, and then slowly I calmed myself and I went to the exam, right? So again I started with the biology paper. So the first paper, paper 1, was actually quite difficult. The biology paper 1 was quite difficult, but for me it seemed easy. Most of the people were telling it's difficult. So I was quite confident in that paper, and I went at home and I gave it to my brother. I didn't want to check the marks. So he checked it. And then during again, after at around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., he came and smiled and was like, "Do you want to know?" Then when he smiled and said, "Do you want to know?" means I know I must have done well. So then I was like, "Okay, tell me." He was like, "You got 48. Then I was like, yes. I could see the finish line. 48 for biology means I can get an A for biology, and that was the hardest subject for me. Chemistry and physics, I can get it. So then I could see the finish line. All I have to do was work super hard. But that was a risk that I took. Never ever see your MCQ marks regardless of how well you did it. Now imagine if I got 38, I would have fallen down mentally and not been able to study. Okay, this try is gone, I need to try next time. It's a big risk, but it's okay. I mean, it worked out in the end. So then after that, part 2 I went. Part 2 was out of the syllabus. Out of the syllabus means from the resource book only. Out of the syllabus I prepared for. So I studied around 100 essays for the A-level exam to write the essays. Out of that 100, only 2 came. Only 2 came out of that 100. And all the parts that I was like not very important, all of them came in the structured essay. So I was like, shit, what am I going to do? But I was also a bit okay because I got 48 for biology. So structured papers I wrote something. Essay also I wrote something. So at the end I knew I would get more than 75 anyways. But I would have lost a few marks for not, studying the entire syllabus from A to Z. But it's okay, it is what it is. So then once the biology paper was done, a huge load was lifted off my shoulders because that was the hardest subject. Then came physics. Chemistry is the last paper. Then came physics. Physics paper 1, as you know, in 2021, that was the easiest paper ever. So that was not a problem. So physics paper 1 is a place where people usually make mistakes. Essays and structure, it's always the same every year. So this physics paper 1, I think I got around 45. I'm not sure. So anyways, that was done. Part 2 also, I did well. Then chemistry, part 1 also not very difficult, I did it. Part 2, I did make some mistakes in the organics and the chemical calculation. I was most confident in chemistry. I think I got overconfident and I lost my concentration towards the end. So that's what people do, your exam is not over until you come out of that chemistry part 2 paper. Right, so do not lose concentration. Okay, bio part 1 done, bio part 2 done, physics part 1 done, physics part 2 done, chemistry part 1 done. I only have one exam tomorrow. After that I'm free, is what everybody will think. But do not let your concentration go, right? So then I went and did the chemistry part 2 paper, and it was alright. And then I went home. So as soon as I went home, you don't have anything to do. You are carefree. You can do literally anything you want in the world. There is no studying after 2.5 years. I mean, I studied for 1 year. So after 2.5 years of hard work, you don't have anything else. No other exam. Is what you're thinking. No. Once you come into medical school, you have exams almost every time. But forget about that for now. So as soon as I came out, I was very happy, obviously, and I had nothing to lose except for the 20 kilos that I have gained throughout my A-level journey. However, there was this small issue that I had after the chemistry exam. People started saying that you need more than 50% to get 50% in the general knowledge paper to get into a university. So now my general knowledge is very bad. So I don't know who was the president. No, I know who was the president, obviously. I didn't know who was the president of another country. So I had to, start doing past papers for general knowledge also, right? But, there's no point of doing past papers in general knowledge. However, if you did the general knowledge paper, there's an IQ component and general knowledge component. So then when I saw the IQ component, you don't have to study for that. No, you just have to use your brain. So then eventually I got more than 50, but I don't think that's true. I think you only need more than 35 or something to be eligible for university. I'm not sure the importance about general knowledge. I have no idea. Anyways, so then that was done. Now I had so much time on my hands. I wanted to exercise, and then I wanted to start cricket again. That's the main reason I started studying to play cricket. So then I went and joined cricket. Now fast forward to August. Our Sri Lankan education system takes so long to give the results. I remember the day I got my results as clear as anything else, right? So we went to St. John's Panadura to play a practice match from the club that I was playing for. I was batting. It was around evening, right? The sun was setting on my right side. I was batting on the sun was setting on the right side, and it was very windy, not raining. It was a good, calm, nice temperature. And then I hear a commotion. Like usually when you're playing, when you score a boundary or when you hit a six or when somebody takes a wicket and everybody goes, hoo, 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 starts shouting. So even before anything happened, people are making a big scene over there. So I think it was the last over of that match. Some practice match, it was the last over of that match. Then as soon as I finished it, I ran to see what's up, what's happening. And then one fellow is shouting, A-level results Avilla. My heart started beating so fast. It was like my heart was coming out of my mouth. My hands were vibrating. I was sweating. I was nervous. I felt like I was going to faint. Now this is the thing. Now you did the A-level exam. You did it well. You feel like you get 3 A's. But who knows? Whenever you have some expectation, something always goes wrong. So that's what pessimistic point of view. I had that pessimistic point of view. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I cross-marked everything wrong. Maybe I put the second answer for the first one, third answer for the second one. Maybe one of my papers went missing. So many different things went through my head. Then I didn't have my phone at that time. I used a friend's phone. So then when I'm trying to take the phone in my hand, right? I'm trying to take the phone in my hand. I'm trying to go into the, you have to put your index number or you can put an NIC. So I put my NIC, and then the next thing, without the results, it's coming a CAPTCHA page. So you had to choose a fire hydrant. Imagine at that moment, you're so tensed, you're so stressed. This can decide your future, and you're asked to choose the fire hydrant. I was so annoyed. I gave the phone to my friend, and he was doing it, and then eventually the results came. So when the results came, I quickly snatched the phone and I started scrolling down. The results, the subjects don't come first, it's the rank that comes first. So as soon as I saw my rank, it was 523 island and 132 districts. So that is medicine, you can get Peradeniya or Jayawardenepura. So then I went and I saw 3 A's and I gave this super reaction where I was like, woohoo, screamed, and I ran across I ran for like 20 meters. I think I have the video. I will play it now.
Please try again. Yes! Yes! 3A! Yes! Hello!
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. So that was my reaction. So then it felt so good, all that effort that you put in, and it comes out so well. Everything went according to plan, and you feel like it is all worth it at the end. That gives you so much happiness, that moment, as you can see in my reaction. That gives you so much happiness. So that was the main reason why I wanted to do this video. It is that, so many people would feel like, is it really worth it? I want to give up. It is me telling you not to give up, right? It is hard work, yes, but the hard work will be worth it. Okay? So now, if it was not hard, right? If it was not hard, then everyone would have done it. So to motivate you all is the main reason why I did this video, right? And it was nice of me to reminisce about my A-levels also. And it's actually currently 1:30 in midnight. I don't know why I'm doing this, but it was pretty nice, this entire process of making this video. So I hope you all enjoyed the story, and I hope it gave you some sort of motivation to keep pushing. And usually it's the top 3% or top 5% who make it into medicine or engineering. Why can't that top 5% be you? Okay, and I will end it on that note. Thank you very much for watching, and if you had stayed till the end, I'm very glad. I didn't have any special effects or anything, just me talking. Okay, then I will see you soon in another video. Thank you.